Hello, everybody. It is so good to be here tonight. Welcome to Lipedema Wellness Conversations with Gail. That would be me and my friend. And my friend today is Peggy Woodson. She's a community member. And as we get going today, I first want to say thank you all for being here. When you get a chance, put your name in, or your first name, whatever. If it doesn't show up on the screen, tell us where you're from. Mary Woods here from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Is Wisconsin in Central Time? I think it is. Peggy's from Central Time. So we're sending love to you guys too. I just want to tell you, we've missed a couple of these shows recently. We've had some health issues in my family. My husband had open heart surgery a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, this coming Thursday, so 10 days ago. And he's doing well. He's home and has slept well the last couple of nights. And he told me yesterday that he's feeling better every day. And that's the first time he has said that. So I'm just grateful because now I'm not on high alert so much. He went grocery shopping with me today, which blew my mind that he'd be willing to do that, although I wouldn't let him put anything in the cart or carry the bags of groceries or anything, because he's only supposed to do 5 pounds. And he's like, he tells me that's over my weight limit. I said, no, because I bought 10 pounds of butter.
Oh gosh.
I told him that's over your weight limit. Anyway, so Mary's here, and Jeannie Lewis from California. We have 2 Jeannie Lewises now. One's from Colorado and one's from California. Hi to the Jean Lewises. We're glad that you're here. So today, I am absolutely thrilled to introduce Peggy Woodson. She is from Louisiana in a place called Lake Charles. And I met Peggy, I'd have to say 4 years ago, Peggy. You think it's been that long?
I think it may be longer than that. It's been a long while.
We were on a Facebook group together. Daisy Brackenhall has a Facebook group called Kick Arse Keto Bitches, and I believe that's where we met, and we started chatting because
Yeah.
I was part of that community, and before I even knew I had lipedema. And in fact, it was through people on that page that I always saw, that I realized, I found out more about lipedema simplified. And Peggy and we started connecting, and so I've known Peggy for a long time, even before. I mean, I've only been with lipedema simplified since 2019, and I think I met you in like 2017 or so, 2018. So it's been kind of cool. And so with that, I want you guys to all welcome Peggy. Give her all your loves. Give her some thumbs up or some hearts, whichever. If you're on YouTube or if you're on Facebook, make sure you smash that button and make sure that you subscribe to our channel so that you can hear everything we have to say. Peggy, welcome.
Thank you.
Glad you're here. And there are some things I want to know, and I want you to share. I would love to hear your backstory. I would love to find out how you found out that you had lipedema.
Well, it started a long time ago. In looking back, once I have figured out what I do have, I started looking back at photographs of me, and I found one of me when I was pregnant in 1978 with my last child. I had a diabetic pregnancy, gestational diabetes, and I was not aware. The doctor was not aware. Nobody caught it. It was just what it was. And she weighed 11 pounds, 6 ounces. And in this picture, I had my arms sort of out to my side, and I could see the underarm was starting to develop the lipedema, lymphedema. Um, Gosh, I got on the keto diet to try to help that about 10 years ago. I lost weight at first and then I quit. I stayed on the keto diet, but I could not lose the weight. I still cannot lose the weight. And so I did everything humanly possible to try to lose weight, to try to get a grip on my body that I felt like was turning on me. I felt like, why is this happening? I'm eating the proper foods, I'm eating whole foods, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and I'm not getting any results. And so I started checking uh, with some of the doctors I was seeing. And of course, the first doctor said, "Oh no, you can't do keto because you have to have sugar or your brain will die." And so that was the last time I saw her.
We don't want any dead brains, right?
I didn't, I don't. The day they talked about the fact that your liver takes over, she was absent that day.
Oh, okay.
She
That
had
your liver, that you go ahead and you keep glucose in your system. You still have blood
yes,
glucose
yes.
even if you're not eating blood sugar.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. The cavemen didn't die because they didn't have a bowl of sugar. But I checked around with some other doctors and happened to find a doctor who is also keto. And so I
Nice.
went to see him, and I just think the world of him. He's very good. He helps me as much as he can, but he does not know the information about lipedema, lymphedema, or the other disease that I have, which is called Derkham's disease or adiposis dolorosa. I brought him pamphlets and I have brought him books and I have educated him very well. And he loves it. He says, "I love when you come in because I always learn from you." And he says, "I really enjoy that." But he says, "You're my only patient with it." And I said, "No, I'm not." I said, "You just need to open your eyes and look because it's there. You just haven't learned to recognize it." So I started checking with other doctors. My cardiologist put Derkham's disease in my records and she found a code for it. There actually is one. And I went to my dermatologist who I was just blown away because he came in and I handed him the pamphlets for lipedema, lymphedema, and Derkham's disease. And he looked through them and he smiled, real big smile, and he said, "Oh my gosh, I haven't heard the word Derkham's disease in 17 years since I was uh, taking my state board exams."
Wow.
I said, "Well, it's out here." And so I said, "Can you look and see what you think?" And it was the most amazing thing. It made me cry. He took his hands and he started feeling, but he closed his eyes. He was seeing with his fingertips what was inside. He could feel all the nodules and he looked at me and he said, "Does anyone else in your family have this?" I said, "Yes, my grandmother had it." And he said, "Yes, this is what you have." He said, "It's definitely a form of Derkham's disease." And he said it could have been familial, uh, but since mine are painful, he said it's the actual Derkham's disease.
Yeah.
So it was just, that was such an amazing trip, but that's taken me the better part of, long time, a lot of years, 8 or 9 years maybe, to try to get to the bottom of it. Right now, my doctor has me on the injections. I think it's Wegovy that he has me on. I've been on it for 9 weeks and I've gained 2 pounds. I'm not losing any weight. And
Right.
Yeah, and I went in and I said, "Well, are you frustrated yet?" He said, "I understand." He said,
Right.
I see what you mean." He said, "It's very frustrating for you, I'm sure." I said, "Very much so. But the good thing about it is that it is bringing my blood sugar down and that
Right.
it is helping there. So I'm going to stay on it, weight loss or no weight loss, because it is helping with that."
And you're not having any side effects from that?
No,
Oh, that's
no.
good. Yeah.
Makes me sleepy sometimes. That it
Right.
does. Yeah.
But you go for an injection how often?
I go once a week, but they know I'm a nurse. They know I'm a retired nurse. And so they fix the syringes for me and send me
Uh-huh.
home with them. and,
Oh, okay.
and they say, "Here, do these once a week and call us with your weight," which is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, and it's cheaper doing it this way than if he prescribed, the
Right.
pins for me. So it's cheaper
Right.
to do
Yeah.
it this way. But
And so when you get him frustrated like this, then do the two of you come up with a new plan of attack?
well, there, with Durkheim's disease, there is not much of a plan of attack other than to monitor your diet so that you don't. I have found that I was swelling. I was having a lot of bloating and swelling and a lot of diarrhea. I was having a lot of issues. And with Durkheim's, you get a lot of that. So by maintaining that keto diet, whether I'm losing weight or not, it helps me to feel better. Um, I don't lose any weight, but I'm not bloated. I'm not just absolutely miserable. And I
Right.
think that's a great benefit right there.
Right. I know some people will say things like, I tried keto and it didn't work. And I always, I believe them 100%. We all try things and we think they don't work. But a lot of times I think we have to think about what does it mean to work?
Right,
Because I know I lost weight and then I put some weight back on and
right,
I'm keto, um, or carnivore or extremely low carb. I
right.
mean, whatever anybody wants to call it, right? But there are certain foods that if I eat them, it's all over. My
You pay 'em
ankles,
right.
yeah. And so I find that what works for me is extremely low carb, um, keto, carnivore type food, and my body feels functional and
Right,
happy, and I'm not bloated. And I do some, I guess, intermittent fasting, like,
right,
you know, I don't eat. I used to graze all day long, and I don't do that anymore, and those sorts of things.
right.
And I don't have cravings. So it really depends on what works for us in our on our list of this is what it means to work for me, right?
That's right.
So,
That's
so of all the foods that you used to eat that cause you issues, which do you remember which foods those are that give you grief?
absolutely anything with starch, bread, potatoes, not sweet potatoes, those don't seem to bother me, but white potatoes, bread, any kind of pasta. Oh gosh, if I eat pasta, I'm miserable for 2 or 3 days. And it's not worth it. I have come to the conclusion it's just not worth it. And part of my issue is that I feel that my body is terribly inflamed and has been.
Hmm.
So I've been watching foods that cause inflammation. Like I recently cut out dairy. Um, I'm always open for changing what I need to change and sticking with what I know works. I know dairy does not work for me. I know pasta does not work for me at all. Um,
So
most
there,
breads.
yeah, so there goes the pasta Alfredo with garlic bread,
Yes.
right?
Oh, yes. I know. Many
But
tears there. You know, you have to cry about it and move on.
yeah, there, and that's true. There is a sense of loss and mourning when we have all these wonderful comfort foods that we have yearned for all of our lives, and that
Right,
we eat regularly, and then we find out that they hurt us,
right,
and so and when we give those up, there is a mourning. It's I remember Catherine one time telling us, I have to divorce blueberries. She was so sad
oh,
because she didn't do well with them. But that happens,
yes,
as we strive to find out what works best for us in our dietary intake.
that's right, that's right. And one of my issues has been the fact that I'm not able to exercise as much as I would like to.
Right.
I heard a podcast by Dr. Herbst who talks about Durkheim's a lot. And she was doing a podcast and she said, you know, some of my patients tell me that they get short of breath, but I don't understand why. And so I sent her a message. I said, I can tell you why. It's because all these lipomas are up under our diaphragm and there's no room, you know, to breathe. And if I gain 5 pounds, it that causes issues. So that's encouraging to me not to get off of it, to stay with the program.
Yeah.
You know, depression or no depression, I have to eat for me. Luckily,
Hmm.
my husband is so supportive. He eats what I eat, and he's losing weight, so that
and
works.
and I know for a fact that um, your husband Lloyd um, makes a mean tamale, or one or two. You make tamales. That's
Yes,
one of the things you do, right?
yes, yes. And my tamales are actually low carb. Believe it or not, they're 5 carbs per tamale, which is considered low as
Uh-huh.
far as tamales go. But I've been making tamales. I invented this recipe 35 years ago at least, and I've been in business twice with them, opened a restaurant twice, 2 different times, and our customers won't let us just quit. They keep ordering them. I had somebody today ordered 15 dozen.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
yeah,
Well, that's amazing. And
yeah,
I do not live anywhere near you, but if I did, I would order my 15 dozen also. um, Low carb tamales. You live in Lake Charles, Louisiana.
right.
And so if anybody in Louisiana is watching us or is on their way to Louisiana, you make your tamales on Monday or Tuesday?
We we make them whenever we get orders. We're very flexible with it. I bought a shed for my backyard. My she shed is back there. My husband has a he shed, and I've got the she shed. And we make tamales out there. So it's all set up for
Oh,
doing just that. And we
that's
make
your
them,
kitchen out there? That's your tamale kitchen?
yes, yes.
Wow.
It's been great. I'm so thankful I was able to do that. I really am happy with it.
And Paige, go forth. It says share your recipe, but I'm thinking your recipe is your livelihood, right?
It will
It
go with me.
it has secret sauce. It
Yes,
has, right. There's secret ingredients, and so I know that I only say this. I'm only letting people know this because if you're looking for a low carb tamale, that isn't Peggy's. um, you probably could actually write low carb tamale recipe and modify it to flavor,
Right.
or you can drive down to Louisiana and get some from Peg. Um, Peggy, we have people here. Julie Rosas from California. Hi, Julie. She's one of our regulars. Hi, Christina Luther. And then Jean Lewis from California is here.
Awesome.
Then we have Julie Stewart from North Carolina. Um, and Maggie's here from Georgia. Paige did say there are many modified versions of keto. There are. In
Yes.
fact, keto is not one thing.
No, it is not. It is not.
And and one of the things she says there's for bodybuilding, weight loss, epilepsy, all of which have different percentages. And she wants to know, is there a recommended percentage ratio, proteins, fat, carbs, for doing keto for lipedema? And what we have discovered with keto for lipedema is it's not necessarily ratios.
Mm.
Um, we've discovered keto for lipedema means that you do some self research. You you follow a whole foods plan. Like maybe there are certain sweeteners that affect you. Maybe you can't do nuts. Maybe you can do a nut or two, depending on the nut. Um, Possibly dairy might affect you, like it affects Peggy, or possibly dairy affects you like it affects me. I can have a little, but not a lot. Some people can't do eggs. So the way we do for lipedema is we try to keep it all whole food, as not always, but as close to that as we can. And we modify it to our own needs. Um, I know that when I go off dairy completely, like 100% go off dairy, except for butter, butter is, my brain doesn't connect with butter to dairy. My brain tells me butter is fat, not dairy. Big X.
Right.
I probably could go off butter, but when I go completely off dairy, I can tell the difference in my pictures, but I can't tell my difference in my weight. But I can tell the difference in my pictures.
Right.
My skin smooths out. But for me, I can't keep it up. I yearn for dairy too much. It's one of my comfort foods. So as we do things for ourselves, we have to make the decision. Is this worth the effort? Peggy's decided, I put on 5 pounds up under my ribs. I can't breathe. I got to go back to keto.
Right.
So Peggy, we were talking earlier about comorbidities, and Durkheim's seems to be a comorbidity with lipedema. It seems to go hand in hand. Have you had any revelations about anything else that goes along with lipedema?
None that I can put my finger on. And that's one of those things, which came first, the chicken or the egg? I don't know. Is my lipedema, lymphedema, is it a comorbidity to the Durkheim's, or is it reversed? I have no idea. But I do know that I find myself experimenting rigidly using my blood sugar and checking a 2 hour postprandial to find out if that food is acceptable for my system. And it requires that old N equals one, where you're functioning under an experiment with just one person. And it's it's all been a matter of looking at what's before you and deciding what I can have and what I cannot have. Um, artificial sweeteners do not work for me, and they raise my blood sugar, even though they
Mhm.
say, oh no, this won't raise your blood sugar. Well, I saw another one this morning that just swears it will not raise your blood sugar. I'm going to try it. I figure I can try that. And if it does raise it, then I know that it's not for me either. But I try to eat food that our forefathers, our cavemen and women forefathers ate. I got tickled because I did a DNA test and it said I was 92% Neanderthal. And I said, I don't know if that's good or not. But
That's funny.
I had started to eat as a Neanderthal
Uh-huh.
and I feel better. I just feel better. And so it can't be all bad.
No. And there's a reason we evolved, the foods that we ate, right?
Sure.
And one of the things that I've discovered is that I have certain things cause cravings,
Yes,
and once I get started on them,
it's hard to
I
quit.
can't stop,
That's right.
right?
That-
And so I find that I have to think about it. So all this takes um, conscious thought, but I don't even read the number of carbs that I eat anymore.
I don't
I
either.
just I just know what food I have learned over the last 5.5 years which foods cause me issues,
Right.
you know.
I'm,
So if someone were to say how many carbs are you having each day, I'm like, I don't know
yeah,
anymore.
I consider myself very low carb. And occasionally I am no carb if I'm carnivore, depending on what I eat that day, what I'm hungry for that day. But I also try real hard to figure out what foods I eat that cause me to swell and bloat. And that has probably helped me more than anything, trying to get to those answers. Um, it's very difficult to do that because I read one article that said, oh, you can't have tomatoes, they're inflammatory. And then I read another article that said, oh, no, tomatoes fight inflammation. And I'm like, okay, which one do I listen to? So I have decided that I'm going to go without tomatoes for a couple of weeks and then I'm going to eat one and see what happens. I have to do
Yeah,
it as an experiment.
yeah. And it's really interesting because when we go that direction, it takes us right out of the diet mentality,
Right, right.
and it
It
and it
does.
yeah, and it puts us into more of a I am self-care mentality.
That's exactly right. And you have to take care of yourself. You have to do for yourself. I went to one doctor and asked him about having, because my arms are huge. My arms are just huge. And I don't know if I can show you, but my arms are just really, really big. But I went in and I asked him about having that removed. And I also brought him the pamphlets on Durkheim's and lipedema and lymphedema. And he put his hand on my shoulder. He said, honey, there's nothing wrong with you except that you're just fat. You need to learn to live with that and exercise and get off your butt. And that's what he told me. I said, I will show myself to the door at this time. Thank you.
Oh, good for you. Yeah, but that crushes. I mean, if
It does. It affected me, but I
oh
wasn't
yeah,
talk to me like that. I was not going to have him talk to me like I was just, coming out
this
of the
was
blue with this.
this was a plastic surgeon, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But he knew nothing of lipedema, lymphedema, or Durkheim's. He knew nothing about any of those.
right, right,
And even though I had pamphlets that said, yes, this is real, according to him, it was all in my head. So
right.
you learn who to go see and you learn who not to go see. And when you hit those people, when you find those people who do not treat you properly like that, when they talk to you like, you're impaled with this a telephone pole through your chest, and they say, well, if you just lose a little weight, go
Yeah.
leave, go find another doctor, forget about them. They're not
Yeah.
worth the effort. Don't let them depress you. Move forward for yourself.
Right.
And
Well, and knowing that we have lipedema
right,
or lymphedema and or Derkums or any of the other situations that we deal with, when you know that you have um, that,
right,
you can stand your ground, say, this is not my fault. I am looking for treatment. I'm looking for proper treatment. I'm not looking for ill treatment.
right,
But it is extremely difficult. I think as women who have had to deal with issues with weight, we've been put down. We have all these, we've struggled with all of this. It's very difficult to stand our ground and say, I'm done with you. Okay.
right,
We had, I've spoken to a member of our community who her physical therapist told her, there's nothing more I can do for you. You're going to, you might as well look at your future as being in a wheelchair. It crushed her, absolutely crushed her, because the physical therapist told her, I'm sorry, I can't help you anymore. Kind of like it was her fault.
right.
She went out, she found another physical therapist, and she has been making great strides.
Awesome.
But if she would have listened to that physical therapist,
Yes.
she wouldn't have she wouldn't be progressing today,
No.
right? She's not in a wheelchair, but
Right.
she's bound determined not to get into one, but her physical therapist that she has now is helping her make great strides. So we have to take charge at that point and say, no, I'm not giving up.
Right.
um yeah, it's crazy. Now I Cindy Tannehill says, I have been told that I was just fat and I needed to eat less. Those of us who are all like eating less and less and less, this is what we're told, right? You eat too much. We're going, I don't even eat. Winetta says, I had a bilateral brachioplasty after weight loss. Having the excess skin removed was such an improvement in quality of life. And that's wonderful. It's amazing. Those of us who are good candidates for that do find that it helps.
Mhm.
Those of us who aren't good candidates, we sometimes it causes issues. So
Right.
we each one of us has to take care of our own personal self. So Peggy, I have a few things I have to talk about before we get off the live today, and I am excited, and I hope you're going to participate. Maybe, maybe you'll participate. But we have coming up um, this month, not this month, it's May. Sorry. We have coming up in June, June 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 14th, we have the Lipedema Challenge. This is our lipedema awareness event. It is free. I am going to put in the chat, in the um, comments, I am going to put the link to sign up for that. Now, this is going to be, as you can see, there's 5 days, and you can sign up for this for free. There will also be an upgrade if you want to get more out of it than that, bonus sessions and things like that. But it's the Lipedema Challenge. Please just check it out. Click on that link and check out what we're going to be doing in June. June is Lipedema Awareness Month. I get all excited. I count on my fingers. Um, Today's what, the 16th of May, so it's 2 weeks away. Whoa! Lipedema Awareness Month. We're going to have stuff happening. So that's the first thing I have to talk about. The second thing I have to talk about is also Lipedema Awareness Month. And this is super exciting as well. Did you know that we are going to have this thing called Tribers at the Table? Now, tribe members, Peggy's a community member. We call ourselves Tribe, Tribe. When you find your tribe, you love them hard, right? You find that group, and that's what Tribe is. It's a community um, group. It's a membership group, and Peggy's a member of that community. So we decided at Lipedema Simplified to start getting together in person. In person, if you can believe that. We have been an online community since early 2020. Like Catherine started the online community February of 2020, and we all know what happened in March of 2020, right? Everything went online. And so since February of 2020, this community has been all online. And we're getting together in person. We have, I don't know, I don't know how many we have that are going to actually be going on. I believe we're starting like the 4th of June where we're having small groups. If you go to the link that I'm posting right here, you can find one. You can find one hopefully close by. There's going to be one in Podunk, Idaho, Boise, Idaho. That's where I'm at, right? I'm holding one. There's going to be one in Texas. There's going to be one in Nashville and out in the Boston area at Cambridge. I think there's two. One's going to be in Winnipeg, Canada. We've got one in Sacramento, California, one in North Carolina, a couple of them in Florida. I believe there's going to be one in New Zealand because Fiona's going to do that. So we have all over the place. There's going to be these groups that are going to get together, and we're just going to meet. And so, like, if you're somewhere near Sacramento, California, like maybe you're in Chico or Redding and you want to drive down there, maybe you're in San Francisco, it's not that long, or Livermore or something, drive over to Sacramento. I know that seems like a long drive, but you know, we're all getting together, and we are doing it all different days. I mean, several. I think there's 13 different dates that we're having these. And Paige says she's planning to go to the one in Nashville. Right on, Paige. And the person who's hosting the one in Nashville is 80. 80 is a certified lymphatic therapist, and she's holding one in Nashville. So, Peggy, is there going to be one in Louisiana, like in Lake Charles?
I need to find out what that entails because I would be interested in doing that.
Uh,
I do have, I have one friend here that I know for sure has it. And if I have one, I'm sure there are others. It would just be a matter of getting the word out. But I need to get with you and find out what all that entails.
well, you need to talk to Catherine.
Okay.
You seriously send her, if you don't have her text, if you don't have her phone number, to text her. I will get it to you tonight.
Okay.
Um, or send her an email and say, I want one. Because this is a lot of people were holding it, of all places, not all of us, but several of us are holding it at Panera Bread. We're holding it at Panera because there's a quiet little space that they get together. They serve coffee, tea, whatever. We're holding them like midday, where like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, whenever it's good for us. You pick the date, you pick the time, you pick the place. I'm holding mine at a place called Great Harvest because they have a great patio and they serve tea and coffee. And we're just going to get together. Some people are holding it at coffee houses. None of us are holding it at breweries. Paige says, if you do one, I'm switching my location and I'm going for the tamales.
Funny.
So, Tribers at the Table, um, we are sending out the email registrations. I think that email goes out tomorrow. So seriously, Peggy, we got to get you hooked up to Catherine. Just think of a spot. The one being held in Winnipeg, believe it or not, is Iris. And Iris is actually hosting it in her own home. So I'm excited that we have all of these happening all over the place. And so, yeah, I should have talked to you about this before we got online. Catherine, if you're out there, Peggy might want to do one. But these are real exciting. And I think the great thing is we get to pick our day, we get to pick our time, and we get to pick our location. And because of that, whoever shows up, shows up. There might be 2 or 3 people there. I might be having coffee by myself with a book. Who knows? Or there might be 10 or 20. I don't know. So it's really exciting. So that's the other thing I had to share with you. And then I know I'm doing a lot of talking. I'm so sorry, Peggy. We'll get back to you in a minute. But then there's this one more thing that's happening, and it is actually small group coaching. Small group coaching with the marvelous um, Carrie Reedy. She's a nutritionist, and Juanetta says Panera. Like, what's Panera? Panera is I don't know. Juanetta's in Alaska. Um, or how very brave because we're having it at Panera. Nah, we've been around bakeries all our lives, um, so anyway, we're having small group coaching with Carrie Reedy. Our nutritionist, and that starts on Sunday. This coming Sunday, I put in a um, a link to that. Now, the reason she offers small group coaching is because it's much more price effective for people. You get 6 sessions for a price rather than paying that same price per session. But it's a small group, and she can take you into the depths because she limits that group to 6 people. If there are more than 6 people, she'll put you on a waiting list and start the next group up. But Carrie Reedy is doing small group coaching starting on Sunday. Let me see. I think that's pretty much everything we have. Let me put you back up there. So, Peggy, this has been wonderful. I feel like we've talked about a lot of things.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
If there is one message that you would like echoed around the world, what would it be?
My message to the whole world deals with depression. So many people deal with depression with these issues that we have. And I want you to know that you need to think about it as a Ferris wheel. When you're up on top and everybody's happy, you need to know that you're not going to stay there. You're going to go back to the bottom. But when you're on the bottom, you're not there long because you're going back up to the top. Life is a Ferris wheel. I taught my children this all through life, and I firmly believe in it, and I've used it in my life. As you know, I kind of disappeared for a period of time because I
Yeah,
was
I
fighting
know.
with some depression. And
Yeah.
this helped me come out of it more than anything, was to realize that I was not going to be stuck there. My life was going to pull me on up. It was nothing I had to do. It's a matter of hanging on until you can get past the bottom.
Oh, Peggy, that's a wonderful analogy. It really is. And yeah, I remember when you kind of disappeared a bit there,
Yeah.
and so I'm so grateful that you're back with us, and hopefully the next time the Ferris wheel goes all the way around, you don't stay there
Yeah.
very long and you come back up.
Well,
So
I'm
thank
glad to
you.
be here. I'm glad to be here. I'm still dealing with some of the issues that I was. I found a brother I knew nothing about when I was
Right.
72, and I actually got to meet him, and then he died 2 months later. So
Um,
that was kind of tough. But I'm in a better place because I listened to what I always told my kids. It's not, you're not going to be in that place forever.
right. Right. And I'm so glad that you're in the place you are now and that you're here with us.
Thank you.
Thank You're welcome. Thank you so much, Peggy. Everybody, make sure that you give Peggy some loving, those hearts and those thumbs up. And just know that, there's going to be another time that we hear from you, and know that you're not alone. Our
Yes.
story is your story, and we're here for you. Good night, everybody.
Good night.